Now then, sports fans, so we've got some bullets to test. Now, last video we're having a bit of a play with some ELR type designs, but now we've got back some test hollow points. 120 grain, very deep hollow point. The hollow point's about 2/3 of the bullets, so the bullet's designed to fracture. It's not an expanding bullet, this one's designed to break apart like a Varminton style bullet, so it's going to be catastrophic damage when it hits the likes of game animals. So with a deep hollow point, what we're really hoping for is the bullet breaks apart and leaves very little at the back end of the bullet to carry on. So by having a lot less to carry on, it's a much safer bullet. That's the whole aim of this game. But we've got to test it, we've got to see that it works, and if it works, happy days, and if it doesn't, we might go back to the drawing board and start it all over again. But let's go shoot some stuff and figure out what happens. So in a previous video you saw us testing some new sort of bullets. They weren't hunting designs, they were kind of a target design, but it was the profile we're going to use to make a hollow point hunting design bullet. Now this particular one we're about to test is sort of a frangible design. It's a deep hollow point designed to sort of break up before we get a bit of expansion. But I made these gel blocks, it's a couple of months ago now, but they're looking good and they've held together, they've not gone mouldy, they've just been in the fridge. Proper gel, the real deal, so I'll show you how to make these later. It's just pig gelatin, but it's had a little bit of stuff added to make it just a little bit clearer. So I'm looking forward to shooting these. So any hunting designer bullet, you need to see what it's realistically going to do in a deer. Now deer aren't much wider than this, so this block's only about 10 inches across. It's not too wide, but it'll give us a good idea if the bullet's going to perform or not. We do need to see the bullet sort of break up, dump energy, and then fingers crossed behind us, we've got water containers behind the gel block, so whatever goes through the gel, we can catch it in the water container and then see what we've got to go. So quite exciting stuff, let's crack on. Okay, so here's our bullet. We've got 7mm Rem Mag with 60 grains of charge in Ramshot Hunter, 120 grain lead-free projectile. Should send them out at good velocity, do some damage on the gel, but we know the parent bullets that were used to make these, they shoot really accurately, so we don't need to test these on paper to see how they go. Let's just shoot some gel. Well, fucking got that. Well, that's certainly interesting. Yeah, we got that. Oh, that's impressive. Oh, let's wash this block off a little bit. So, there's bits went everywhere, which is great. Well, that was pretty funny. So we certainly hit that gel block, it's blown it to bits, and although it wasn't a particularly big gel block, I thought it would have held together. But really interestingly, the damage on the block's quite awesome. So you can see there's the point of entry, and immediately the bullet started coming apart. And if you just look through the wound channel, it just exploded. You can see the tracks being cut by the bullet. It's done everything we wanted to do. The interesting thing was, part of the bullet has exited through the back of the water container there. So there's still certainly a chunk of brass has gone on, so that's interesting. But we'll have to shoot with a slightly chunkier block to contain that energy so it doesn't explode. I don't have any bigger blocks at the moment, but I certainly want to get another one out and shoot it again. That was pretty funny. Let's go shoot another one. Well, there's where we're shooting to, but the velocity of that first projectile, 2872, that's pretty good for 60 grains of charge. Yeah, I'm quite happy with that. 120 grain hollow point, good velocity, good reaction on the gel. Let's go up to 62 grains of charge and see what it does. Be quite good fun. Here we go, next block for splattering. Right. Yeah. Oh, we've got that one. Well, we knocked that one right in the shit.
3187.
3187. I shot that a bit high, that's the problem, but it's absolutely caned it. Well, again, I shot a bit high in that block. Should be aiming a bit more in the middle, but it's done exactly what the last bullet did. You can see there, the bullet's impacted and it's just completely exploded. So that's ideal. You can see here, as soon as it hit the gel block has just been caned open. There's lots and lots of wound tracks and damage in there. If that was a deer's viscera, it'd be absolutely pulped. So can't really complain with that. Bullet's certainly gone through the first container. I think it's in the second container. I'll try and pull it out and see what we've got. But quite interesting so far. I might be encouraged to put a slightly wider hollow point in the bullet for the next generation, but they're doing exactly what they're supposed to do. Certainly dumping energy. That's quite good. Enjoyed that. Right, let's dig a bullet out and see what we've got. Okay, well, here we go. Here's the remnants of the bullet. Now you can see here that second projectile, just like the first projectile I suspect, is completely shattered, broke apart and left very little of the bullet in chunks. And if you look here, you might just be able to see the end of the hollow point at the bottom of the bullet, and that's really encouraging. And that tells me that even if we made the hollow point just a fraction bit deeper, the bullet would continue to shatter into there. So this bullet just breaks apart. There's very little left in big chunks to continue on, although what I did notice was it can go through an entire container of water. Now that's only about 8.5 inches, but that's still a bit of a concern. So I might put the hollow point just a fraction of a bit deeper for the next generation, but that's really impressive. So all of the energy is being dumped pretty much in the gel block, and the bullet's breaking itself apart before it exits. That's just that's exactly what I wanted to see from that test. Nice stuff. Okay, let's consider what we were shooting. So we're shooting 120 grain hollow point, just to confirm the weight of that projectile. There you go, 120. I'm sure it'll go back to 120 on the dot. There we go. But after we fired that projectile, certainly the whole front of the bullet broke off as I'd hoped it did, right down to the bottom of the hollow point. And if we weigh that, we've only got around 47 and a bit grains left. So that's really, really good. So the reality is the whole front of the bullet, as it broke off, as it really shattered as it was going through the gel, it's really dumped its energy. And of course, this remnant of the projectile has been decelerating as it's been going through the gel. Now the actual depth of penetration, when we consider it going through the gel into the tub, that's probably about 18 to 20 inches before it really dumped everything it was carrying. Wow, there we go. So we've got really good velocity and a case with no pressure signs whatsoever. So that's all good. So things are looking great. We could even up the charge. Well, it's the end of the day and it's been very interesting. The bullets performed well. There was a bit of a surprise for me with that sort of rear 45, almost 50 grains worth of bullet, managing to punch through and get out the back end of a container. And I thought about it and I think, do you know what, that's actually a good thing. Because if you've got larger deer or quartered deer where the bullet needs to work just that little bit harder, to make sure you get that punch exit, you're going to need that little bit extra at the back of the bullet. But that whole front, when it breaks apart, you're going to get catastrophic damage. And whether it's in the head or the neck, you know, that would be absolute. But in the body, if you're shooting any of the medium or the larger deer, in the chest, that's going to just obliterate the viscera. So that deer's going to bleed out really quick. So design-wise, I'm really happy with that design. It's doing what it needs to do and it's ready for deer now. So I'm quite excited to go and try it, because it will work, I know it will. But we've got our expanding design to work on now. And that's not far away, and that's a whole different kind of bullet. So if you want to see some of that, and see what these bullets do in actual game, stay with me folks. Like, share and subscribe, and do keep an eye out on what we're doing. But thanks a lot folks, I'll see you again soon. Cheers all.